guys and welcome to the channel. Today I have decided to upgrade my Lenovo Legion 5 laptop with another 32GB DDR4 RAM stick. If you haven't seen my other video where I have already installed one 32GB RAM stick in my Lenovo Legion 5 laptop, you can check it in the link in the description, and I also put a link in the upper right corner. But today I have decided to actually upgrade my laptop with another 32GB RAM stick, so the total should be 64 gig for this Lenovo Legion 5 laptop, which I think will be pretty cool. And I'm actually curious if it's gonna be an overkill or not. But so far, after installing only one 32GB RAM stick and having 40GB of RAM in my Lenovo laptop, I have noticed when I'm editing a large Premiere Pro project, it can actually use up to 30GB of RAM, which is allowed for the Premiere Pro to use. So I have decided to upgrade it for more and then dedicate like 45-50GB for the Premiere Pro and see if it actually can handle it and if it's actually gonna make it work faster. So, and before we start, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. This will help me a lot to grow my channel. Also, click the notification bell so you don't miss new videos. And if you find this video helpful, interesting, please give it a thumbs up. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Let's go.
First thing first, before you start disassembling any electric device, you want to make sure it's disconnected from power. And since it's a laptop, it has a built-in battery, and we want to make sure that this battery is also disconnected. So first thing we want to do, we want to go to the BIOS, then go to the More Settings. On the left tab, you got to find Configuration. Then just got to scroll down where you find Disable Built-in Battery. As you can see, you have this option in Lenovo Legion laptops, which is really great. So you just gotta click on that, and then it says the system will be powered down. If you select yes, you just gotta click yes. Do you want to proceed? Once you click yes, it will just shut down the laptop, and then you're gonna be safe to disassemble it. Unplug the power cord from the laptop because it still has power going from the wall outlet. Right now we have the power supply unplugged, so let's get to the disassembly process. So the first step you want to do, you make sure to unplug all the Bluetooth adapters or any USB sticks that are still in the USB ports, and of course disconnect all HDMI cables and so on. So you just work on the laptop itself. Usually the Bluetooth adapters are the one that might cause some issues if you don't notice them. As you can see on the back, there are 10 screws that are holding the back cover to the laptop. So we want to unscrew them all before we can get to the next step. And I highly recommend downloading the service manual and printing the page that's going to be showing where those screws are and where the clips are, because this will help you to safely disassemble the laptop and without breaking any clips or potentially even breaking the cover. So yeah, make sure you do that. But if you're watching this video and you're working on this exact model, then you're going to be no problem because I'm going to show you exactly where those screws and clips are. And I'm just going to fast forward it so you don't have to wait for very long. And just a quick tip for you guys, if you find that these screws are recessed pretty deep there and you cannot get them out, you can use a small magnet and then just attach it to the screwdriver, and this will help it to lift it off that recessed hole, so you can get them out pretty easy. As you can see, they just get stuck to the screwdriver, or if you have a magnetic screwdriver, that would work as well. All right, let's get it done. As you can see, according to the service manual, there are a multitude of latches on each side. So there are 4 in the front, 4 in the back, and 3 on each side, plus there's 1 in the middle. So you got to be careful not to break them. So to pry it up, I usually use like a guitar pick. Actually, you can buy them from any repair kit for like cell phones. They're pretty thin, but they're still pretty sturdy so that they're not going to bend. And they're also not going to damage the material of the laptop. This way, you're not going to leave any scratches. And it is a very slow job, especially if you've never done it. You got to be careful because if you don't want to pry it up too fast because it might break some latches and then it may not close the same way. So yeah, just gotta take your time, slowly find those latches and slowly pry them up. I will fast forward this video, but if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. I'll try to help you if you run into any problems, so drop your comments in the comment section below. Another tool that I like to use is this little plastic pry bar. It is made out of sturdy plastic, so it also doesn't bend, but it doesn't damage the plastic, so that works very good as well. So you can use a combination of these tools to pry up the latches on this laptop and find what works best for you. As you can see, I got it almost pried up and almost all the latches are released, but the most difficult part is where the side vents for the fans are, and there are 3 latches there and they're pretty tough and pretty difficult to release, so you got to be patient and be careful not to break them. But overall, it's not that difficult of a job. I prefer using the thin guitar pick for this because it's much thinner than that other pry bar tool and it works very good. So yeah, just got to be patient and keep doing it. So once we get all the clips and latches released from the sides and from the front and the back, as per the service manual diagram, there is also one latch in the middle, so it should pop up as soon as you lift the bottom cover. So basically you just gotta pull it up until you hear that click and then the bottom cover will come off. There we go, so it comes off pretty easy. Let's have a quick look at the bottom cover. As you can see, there is this middle latch over here, located almost in the middle under the fan vents. And yeah, this is a last latch that's holding the bottom cover. And yeah, overall, everything is well thought, like all the components in this Lenovo laptop. I'm really impressed with the quality of this laptop. So let's have a look at the battery. As you can see, this is a 60 watt hour battery that is included in this particular model. You can get a model with the 80 watt hour battery as well. And as you can see, there is a lot of room still left for the bigger battery that you can install yourself. Or if you buy in a model that already comes with the 80 watt hour battery, this is where it's going to be located. But I'm using it mostly plugged into the wall outlet, so I don't really need that large battery. Another thing worth mentioning is that this laptop's got a very good cooling system. It's got dual fan like most gaming laptops, but it has a very thick heat pipes and they're also connected together so that CPU and GPU are connected together, so the heat is going to be dissipated much better. And under this metal shield, there are 2 slots for M2 and NVMe SSDs. Here's a compartment for the memory modules, so we just got to take off this metal radiator slash cover off, and then we can access to the memory modules. Let's go ahead and pull it off. So I'm just using this little plastic pry bar, just get it over this edge here. And then just carefully lift up one edge and then just carefully lift it up. There we go. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, we have already one 32 gigabyte Transcend installed, and I still have the 8 gigabyte module here from Samsung that came with originally with this Lenovo laptop. So let's go ahead and replace it with another 32 gig. To pull out the RAM on any laptop, you just gotta pull back 2 of these metal tabs. Sometimes they could be plastic, but most of the time they're metal. Just pull them outwards at the same time and the memory is gonna pop up and it's gonna stay at the 45-degree angle. Then you can just easily pull it out. Let's have a quick look at the memory modules that we got here. As you can see, these modules are Samsung modules and they have indeed installed a pretty good memory in this laptop.
This is a DDR4-3200. The only thing that I wish they would install more volume. As you can see, it is a single rank and they're specifically made for Lenovo. Okay, let's go ahead and install the new memory that we got here. Let's go ahead and open up the package. And when you pull it out, try not to touch the contacts so you don't leave any fingerprint or any dirt on those contacts or they don't get scratched or damaged, because it might malfunction if it happens. Let's have a closer look at this module. As you can see, it is the same DDR4 form factor. It is a 32 gigabyte SODIMM, dual rank, 1.2 volt. Pretty cool. I still remember when there was DDR2 and you could get the maximum of 2 gigabyte per module, which was enough back then. But now I have a small netbook that only has 2 gigabyte of memory and it cannot work at all. Actually, if you want to check out my other video where I have installed Lubuntu on it, Lubuntu is a lightweight operating system from Linux, and this helped it to actually be operational, because with modern operating systems such as Windows, it wasn't even able to run at all. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description. Let's go ahead and install the RAM. The installation procedure will be similar to the uninstallation. Just gotta make sure that the notch on the memory stick is gonna be aligned with the notch on the motherboard. As you can see on the motherboard, in that slot, you have the notch. So you wanna make sure that the notch on the slot matches up with the notch on the RAM stick. Then put it at a 45-degree. It's gonna stay there. Make sure it's aligned properly, and then just gently push it down on both edges until you hear a click. Both of these latches are locked up. This way the RAM is installed properly and it will work no problem. Alright, let's go ahead and do some tests and see how it's going to perform. Alright, let's first go ahead and check out if both memory sticks are working and if we get in 64 gigabyte. And yes, as you can see, it shows installed memory 64 gigabyte and 59.9 gigabyte is usable, which is great. Let's go ahead and perform a few tests and see what results we're going to get. But before that, let's go ahead and also confirm through the CPU-Z program and see what memory we got. Let's go to the memory bookmark, and as you can see, it shows the type DDR4, size 64 gigabyte, channel 2 by 64 bit. Let's go ahead and check out the SPD bookmark. In the first slot, we have the 32 gigabyte DDR4-3200 Transcend memory. Let's go ahead and look at the second module. And as you can see, the second module is exactly the same. The only difference between these two modules is the manufacture date. So obviously the manufacture date of these two modules was very close. One was manufactured on the 28th week and another one was manufactured on the 27th week of the same year, which means that the discrepancy between different memory module chips will be minimal. If you purchase in two modules, it is preferable to buy them in kits, but if there is no such option and you cannot find the kit for the memory that you would like to install, for example, I couldn't find the kit for this Transcend memory, and I decided just to try the 32 gigabyte first and then do another 32 gigabyte a few weeks after. This way, it actually worked out pretty good because the difference in time is not that much, making it possible that the chips are actually from the same batch. I'm going to be using AIDA64 software to test the memory read and write speed, as well as the copy speed and latency. As I have done in my previous video, I'm just going to go ahead and speed up the process and only show you the results that I've got and compare them all in one table, so it's going to be more visual and that you can understand what results we get in and how they compare to the previous result that we got before. Alright, there we go. So as you can see in this table, I have got 4 different memory tests conducted with a few different memory configuration. In the first column, you can see we got the 16 gigabyte memory configuration, 8 by 8, and this was the original memory that came with this laptop. The results are pretty good for the DDR4-3200 MHz memory modules. As you can see, the read speed is over 42 gigabyte, the write speed is almost 24 gigabyte, the copy is 36.5, and the latency is 101 nanosecond. And as you can see from this table as well, I have done 3 tests in the dual mode channel and one is going to be in the single mode. Then in the second column, we got 40 gigabyte in the 8 plus 32 gigabyte configuration. And as you can see, the read speed dropped down quite a bit from 42,219 megabyte per second to 25,418 megabyte per second. The write speed stayed pretty much the same, didn't change much, but the copy speed also has changed quite a bit from 36,468 megabyte per second, dropped down to 25,378 megabyte per second. So in this example, it clearly shows you that if you want to increase your memory, but you don't want to use the exact same modules in size, like I used 8 plus 32, you're going to see quite a big drop in read and copy speed. The write speed might stay the same, but it could also drop as well, but you're still getting a full 40 gigabyte memory capacity. I have put an asterisk in the dual mode because even though it is in the dual mode, it is limited due to the different memory size modules, and it's not 100% dual mode. Then in the third column, we are getting our 64 gigabyte 32 plus 32 gigabyte modules, and as you can see, we're getting the best results out of this whole table. As you can see, the read speed is incredible. It's 47,239 megabyte per second, which is really good for the DDR4 3200 megahertz memory for the laptops. Very good results. Then the write speed is also really good. You can see it in the comparison to the 16 gigabyte that we have tested before. It is double the write speed. It went up from 23,887 megabyte per second to the 46,558 megabyte per second. This is a really huge uplift in write speed. Then the copy speed also has increased. As you can see, it went up from 36,468 megabyte per second to 44,332 megabyte per second. This is another great upgrade. And I have also included another test in the fourth column, just a single module of 32 gigabyte, just to compare and see what a dual mode channel can do for you. If you're thinking, do you really need the dual mode channel, or would you be okay with the single mode channel? I think this clearly shows you that having a dual mode channel in your laptop or in your computer is essential because you're getting double the megabyte per second speed in almost any test. It clearly shows pretty much double speed in every position. Okay, so as you can see, the speed test results are pretty clear, but what about the memory capacity? Do you really need 64 gigabyte in a laptop, or is it overkill? Well, let's find out. I'm gonna show you a few tests that I have done during encoding and rendering a video in Adobe Premiere Pro. As you know, this is a pretty memory hungry program. And as you can see, when it's buffering media files into the program, it can use quite a bit of memory. So I have dedicated 54 gigabyte of memory available for Adobe Premiere Pro and the rest available for the other programs. And I'm going to show you a few rendering processes, and you can see that it can actually use quite a bit of memory. In one of the tests, I'm using about 30 gigabyte of memory. And then in another test, I'm actually using almost 50 gigabyte. And keep in mind that I'm also using other programs as well. I'm having a browser open. I'm having other programs open as well. I'm even having an Adobe Photoshop open at the same time. The huge amount of memory that you might think you don't really need can actually be used if you have it. If you don't have it, then yes, you're not going to be able to use it. But if you have it, it can actually be used in such programs as Adobe Premiere Pro. Or if you're using virtual machines, that's going to also demand a lot of memory from your system. So if you're running one or two virtual systems on your computer, then you're going to need more memory for sure. So let's go to the conclusion. Do I think it's worth upgrading your laptop to 64 gigabyte of memory? Yes and no, depending what you're doing. If you're using your laptop for games, you're probably not going to need such huge amount of memory because most games are okay with running on 16 gigabyte, no problem. But if you're doing some projects, if you're using it for content creation, if you're using it for work, if you're doing some projects on it, you will definitely benefit from having more memory in your laptop. And I would even say the more the better. Having 32 gigabyte would probably be good, but having 64 gigabyte is even better. For the price, of course, it's double the price, and it's basically going one for one. If you upgrade it from 32 to 64, it's just going to be double the memory, double the price. Also, another thing I would like to mention that this memory upgrade that I've done not only gives me a higher capacity from what I originally had, but the memory that I have upgraded to is even faster memory. As you see from the results, I'm getting a way faster read, write, and copy speed. So that will also affect the work process. So as my final thoughts, do I think that 64 gigabyte is an overkill or not? No, I don't think so. I think 64 gigabyte would definitely be of benefit to you if you're using it for some specific purposes such as video editing, content creation, some graphics work. But if you're not doing any of this stuff, you might still benefit from it one day because who knows if you need to open a lot of windows at the same time and you're gonna need a lot of memory for that. But if you're not planning to do that at this specific moment, then maybe you'd be alright with having less memory, let's say like 32 gigabyte. Or if you don't need 32 gigabyte, then 16 probably be enough for you. Okay guys, so this is it. I hope you guys find this video helpful. These were my tests, my thoughts about having 64 gigabyte in a laptop. Let me know in the comment section below how much memory you have in your computer and if you're planning to upgrade your computer to higher memory and what is the reason for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope it was helpful to you. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more interesting, helpful videos. And if you have any questions about this video, please drop them down in the comment section as well. I'll be happy to read those comments and try to answer them as soon as I can. But this is it for now. I hope you enjoy your day. See you soon. Bye bye.